Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And a wonderful morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And of course, broadcasting on TV1, the only channel worth watching really. And of course, we are all part of the Capital Maharaja group. This morning, we start off with some news from last night, and that is about the pirates. Pirates have hijacked an oil tanker off the coast of Somalia in the first such incident involving a large commercial vessel since 2012. An official based in the Middle East said that 8 Sri Lankan crew members were on board that vessel. The official, who of course spoke anonymously, said it was unclear why the ship stopped off in northern Somalia. And the official also added that there was no ransom demand so far. Flight Lieutenant Louise Tagg, a UK-based spokesman for the European Union Naval Force operation off Somalia, confirmed that an incident involving an oil tanker had occurred and an investigation was underway. And we spoke to the spokesperson of the European Union Naval Forces, Commander Jacqueline Sheriff, and this is what she had to say.
Okay, so what we're doing now, we're working with our partners in the area. So there's another task force operating in the area, the Combined Maritime Task Force, who is operating in the area. They also have a warship that's close by, so they're trying to ascertain what actually happened to the ship. We have overflown our maritime patrol aircraft. There's been no sightings on board the aircraft of any people on board on the upper deck of the ship. We certainly have seen no armed men. We have not seen any armed men on the ship. So this is why we're trying to investigate what has actually happened to it. Normally in the past, you would see the pirates, suspected pirates on the upper deck. We haven't seen any imagery of armed men on the ship at this time, which is why we're still investigating what actually happened. There's been no communication with the ship, and the ship's owners. So there's still a lot to be done. We're trying to work also with the Somali authorities to see if they can help go and find out what has happened. So there's still a lot of work to do, but rest assured, we're taking this incident very seriously to try and find out. I know some of the press are saying it's a piracy incident. We're still trying to confirm that.
And every possible measure is being taken to extricate these 8 Sri Lankan sailors from the predicament that they find themselves in. For a while, of course, the pirate problem off the Somali coast had sort of subsided, and it appears that this incident proves that it hasn't quite gone that way. But to welcome to on our set this morning to discuss various important matters is the very senior legal man, Mr. Gomin Dasri. Very good morning to you, Mr. Dasri.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Wonderful. And I see you're very well color coordinated with your scarf and so on in your shirt.
Thank you. And you are very, looks beautiful, the blue tie on a blue background.
That's one of our ties, actually, as one of the group ones. It's lovely tone of blue. Now then, what is the tone of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the issuance of bonds by the central bank?
I think the President has hijacked, like the Somali pilots, the whole procedure by taking on a commission. He appointed a commission of 3, which are very noteworthy, very important, 3 judges. And now it is under their control. And look at it, they have got down to the stage of evidence. They have recorded evidence which you don't find at all with any one of those FCID inquiries under the Attorney General. Here we are on fast track, and they are going ahead. On one hand, we have 2 inquiries going on, one before the Commission, and perpetrators, naturally, they have to do it, otherwise they would look bad. They have gone to the Court of Appeal and challenging the decision of the central bank relating to them. So we got, all this has prompted because the President has very sensibly, I would say, fast-tracked by hijacking the usual procedure of allowing FCID or to go to court by appointing a commission. Now these 3 commissioners, very respectable and reputable people, have immediately started, and we know where they are going. Evidence is forthcoming, the evidence is very, very important, and what is remarkable is that there is an inquiry where Arjuna Mahendra is no longer the head of the CB. So that people are coming forward and giving evidence. In fact, one witness has completely gone back on his earlier statement and admitted that he didn't tell the total story, and now he's coming out with the whole fact.
Who was that, Mr. Gummy?
I can't remember the name, but one gentleman has said that, and he's telling the complete story, because you see, when you have an inquiry and a head is still there, it's very difficult for somebody to give evidence because he's under the control of that person. Now he's not there, and these are things I think the Prime Minister should have done at the beginning. He did nothing. He appointed 3 people.
Why did he do nothing?
Well, there are many possibilities. One presumption you can use is that he himself had a hand in it, so that he may have thought...
Would that fall under the sort of purview or within the spirit of legal presumption?
One would wonder why it is that he allowed Mahendran to be in office while an inquiry was going on. I'm talking of the 3-man committee that he appointed, which was virtually a joke. But the thing is, now we have got people coming forward and giving evidence. And if you know, one very pertinent question asked by Justice Prasanna Jayawardene is, he's asked this question only once or twice, is it the normal habit or the conduct of a governor to visit the floor and visit a particular department when a bond issue is on? And answer was categorically no. So then arises the question, why was he there? Why did he go there?
But as a legal man, and the counter-argument will be that there is no legal impediment to the governor being present there. So what's the problem?
The problem is no governor has ever been there, and this is a very shady transaction where the governor's relatives have benefited. So the governor's amongst others, and therefore governor being there makes it very shady. And furthermore, there's also evidence that there has been a total clean-up. A new person has been appointed, the old hands have been removed. Now all these things, the cumulative effect is suspicion.
So the cumulative effect is suspicion.
Yes.
So there, now we have the right explanation as to, so the governor attending or being present during the auction or visiting that area is not on, traditionally not on. And tradition, he's trailblazed that tradition. He's set up a new tradition of him going there. But isn't it all a question of ethics and moral?
It is not only ethics and morals, yes, if nothing hanky-panky, but here so much money has flowed out to people who are close to him. Now that makes it very dubious. And those are things, those are the very things that would have taken years. No one would have known. It would have been in the area of speculation. But now evidence is forthcoming, and it is being analyzed and assessed by 3 eminent people whom public probably has a great confidence in.
Now, I think yesterday we were sort of subtly told, or one of our reporters was subtly told by whoever, that we mustn't refer to the detectives who were recording statements from Mr. Mahendran at the Commission of Inquiry premises, that we mustn't really refer to them as CID detectives. They were detectives from the CID attached to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. I thought that was a subtle but significant statement for our reporter to remind us about. Because, Mr. Dasri, we have a copy of a letter purported to have been sent by the Auditor General's Department, dated the 7th of February, in which he's addressing it to the Parliament, to the Secretary General of Parliament, and in that the Attorney General, a letter from the Attorney General. Now the Attorney General says in that letter that he's talking in the past tense, that he'd asked the CID to consider as first complaint the complaint of the current governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Apparently he'd made a complaint to the police. Now that is in the past tense, so we'd presume it happened before the 7th of February. Then why is it that until the dawn of the Commission of Inquiry by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry, why is it that it doesn't appear that Mr. Mahendran has been questioned by the CID?
No, there's a tremendous lacuna there, because the moment...
A tremendous lacuna. Yes. I love that word. And tell us why.
Why? Because it was very much in the air. It was being discussed over the last year. But still, if the Attorney General does send a letter saying consider that as the first statement, then it's a very serious matter, because and if that is the first time that statement has been recorded, it's going to be very belated. It's much to Mr. Mahendran's advantage, because he would have had so much time to think over and make a statement. Normally a first statement has great value because it is immediately recorded. And that gives the question of any kind of fabrication or any kind of concoction cannot take place. But this clearly shows
so there's an element of purity there.
That is so, and I must say that if today under the Constitution there are few very senior officials like the Attorney General, the Auditor General, the Commission of Elections, who are protected persons. But of these three people, I think we can have the greatest respect for the Auditor General, because the role he has played in all these matters is exemplary. He has been forthright, he's been speaking to the press, he's been not evasive, he's taken a lot of rap.
He's really quintessentially what a politician ought to be. But he's not a politician, and he's a state official. He's been upfront and open. And he's not hiding anything.
What I would say is he's transparent, and
that's the word. How wonderful! You know, the English language is brilliant, isn't it? It's got such beautiful words. Transparent. Isn't that a wonderful word? But there's a question here posed by a viewer. The viewer is asking, if Mahendran is guilty, what of the Prime Minister?
Well, that is a very interesting question. I wouldn't like to answer it because I'm not equipped to answer it, but I would say the Commission will certainly answer it, because there seems to be an interest factor, especially the fact that it was the President who appointed the present Governor. It was the President who intervened and appointed this Commission. These are all things, if Mr. Mr. Prime Minister, who has had supposed to have a clean record, should have done. He's just done nothing. In fact, he's put a whitewashing 3-man committee. So all these things point a finger at him, but whether he's guilty or not is a matter, I think more evidence is necessary, and it will establish. But now there's another aspect. Purple treasuries have gone to court. And purple treasuries are making allegations on the governor, the present governor. They are saying that he has acted in excess of his powers. He's acted without authority. He hasn't acted within the laws. Now, these are very serious allegations made by his counsel, but presented remarkably well. But we will have to wait to see what the counter-argument is. But remember, whatever argument that purple treasuries will present, the people are mindful that they are great beneficiaries out of this transaction.
Yes, they'll have that. Another question is, why was the Parliament dissolved prior to the release of the first COPE report, which was ready at that time?
Well,
it was within hours, according to Dugan Secretary. Within hours, it was going to be presented to Parliament, and only to find the carpet pulled out under his feet so to speak.
Yes, this proroguing parliament is a very interesting thing. It's got a historical background. If you remember, there are a number of allegations against the former Chief Justice Sarath Silva, and President Kumaran Tunga used to prorogue parliament so that those reports couldn't be furnished. So this is a game that prime ministers occasionally play to help their friends.
But isn't it amazing and astonishing and absolutely a wonder the lengths to which our Prime Minister has gone, which some people say is to protect his friend?
Possibly, but at the same time, for us, one must remember that the opposition has done nothing about it. I mean, you have made a lot of noise.
But we are not the opposition.
We are not the opposition.
We are the People's Channel.
Quite, and the People's Channel has done much more than what the opposition, in joint opposition, should be doing.
We will continue to do that.
But why is it that the joint opposition is mum on many questions? Why is it that they are not probing this? In fact, what they wanted to do was to go and report the matter to the CID. Now, CID report would mean the whole thing gets further shelved. But what should be done, the opposition and the government have not done. Because I think in this whole transaction, as I see, there is bipartisan interest. Both parties are beneficiaries and they don't...
Do you think that's because, I mean, this is merely what we observe. What I observe, at any rate, is that on the one hand we see an apparent lessening of the pressure on the former president and his family, the investigations into those various matters. At the beginning it seemed to be all gung-ho, and it was, it was a turbo charge. They had this turbo switched on and it was going full speed ahead. And then all of a sudden you find, if it was a graph, instead of it going like that, you suddenly find it leveling off and coming down even. Are we to draw a sort of conclusion that there is some sort of collusion, however covert it may be, that there is some sort of deal between the powers that be and the Rajapaksas, that they are not to, we will trade one off against the other?
Covert or overt, I think there is certainly an element of collusion, because where one should have been going hell for leather, it's not happening. And only look at all the investigations that, with the charges that have been filed in court, has a single bit of evidence been recorded? No. And who should be blamed for it? I think the blame is fairly and squarely on the Attorney General's Department, not the CID. But look, here for us, we have, this commission was appointed just the other day, maybe 2 months ago. They've got on to the job and they're recording
Absolutely.
evidence.
And they've also got off the sit down and do nothing seat. They've got off that seat, they've gone to the central bank and seen for themselves firsthand what goes on.
Now that is the beauty of it, because a commission, the full all authority is in their hands. Even the recording of statements they can administer. Yeah. So that here is a commission. I think this is an excellent opportunity for these three gentlemen to emerge as heroes in the Sri Lankan context. If they continue to do and get to the and draw the proper conclusions at the end of it without any fear or favor. And I'm quite sure, as I think I'm one of the first people to say that this is the three best people we could have thought of for the moment, and all credit to President Sirisena.
Is there a fear, do you think, Mr. Dasri, that this lack of commitment to bring to a natural legal conclusion this absolute fraud, the raping of our treasury by this saga, do you think that there is this lack of commitment now because there is a fear that if Mr. Mahendran is dealt with in that way, that the should be dealt with scenario, and that if that happens, that Mr. Rajapaksa and others may be worried and mindful that the same fate that would happen to Mahendran would happen to their people?
Very unlikely, because they have filed action in court, so that President cannot take that kind of action against them. So I don't think they are worried about that. But I think what one has to consider is there is a lot of people who are trying to backpedal on political elevation. They were scared that Rajapaksas might come back to power. They want to be in the good books of this government, next government, and probably in the very next government. So I think a lot of public servants are being absolutely weak-kneed. They are just playing politics.
And that is why when we have people like Gamini Vijayasinghe, the Auditor General, that is why the public must rally round such outstanding personalities and people with obviously who've got a strong backbone and who are morally and ethically upstanding and outstanding.
Quite so, and outspoken.
And outspoken.
That is very important, because one will find that the Commission of Elections, for example, he has powers, but still we don't have the local government elections on track, so that he can certainly do more. But I mean, some of them are just joking around on television. Instead of being very precise and being very outspoken and telling the truth. I know that the the Auditor General will come in for a lot of flack from politicians, but I don't think he cares two hoots, and that exactly is the kind of officer that must be lauded and supported by the public.
Indeed. I mean, I'd urge members of the public to write in, send him an email to the Auditor General's Department and tell him how much you appreciate the work that he's doing.
I think you have done it sufficiently for yourself, the media.
Well,
and I think the public also should
doing that, but we are but the media, and we are outspoken. I don't think anyone can say otherwise about us being outspoken. And you know, the thing is, Mr. Gomin, the ambience within this network is one of being open, and that is encouraged by our publisher. And if the publisher doesn't have the commitment and to media freedom and the freedom of speech and to report, then that will filter down the ranks.
I think your publisher has more than that. He's got guts.
He's got guts.
And he doesn't fear any kind of onslaught made against him. That's to his credit.
Well, you know, thank you, but that is the honest truth. If the publisher has no mettle, then one is unable to fulfill the task of properly representing the people. But honestly, Mr. Dasi, here's another one. Mahendran has a served term in Sri Lanka and Singapore. Ranil should be removed with Ravi, Sajeev and people like that who were blocking a proper inquiry. And that's true, isn't it? Do you remember how much they struggled to try and block this inquiry coming out? We had so many outstanding contributions from all sorts of people trying to get to the bottom of it. And then what do you find? You find people trying to put in footnotes, you know, and all that sort of thing.
Yes, Faraz, but I think it's the President who has emerged on all this, because he has had the courage and the guts to have this inquiry, which in end of the day might find the Prime Minister in serious trouble, so that politically this inquiry will have far-reaching impact, because the UNPs would not like their leader being under a cloud.
Well, don't you think it's time? There's another thing I want to say to you. Talking about this Auditor General, he's ballooning to new heights because he's launching an inquiry into the loon matter. Remember the balloon that went up?
Yes.
And it crashed? Well, it didn't crash. Depends on whose story you see. Some say that it was a controlled descent. It was so well controlled that they didn't know where it landed, and they had to wait for a call from the villagers in the area who complained about this big thing that crashed. But as I say, the Auditor General is going to new heights. He's looking into this ICTA matter and so on, which is, again, good news, because unlike the bond, the media found out about it after the event. Here, the media have sort of stumbled upon something which hopefully will prevent any wrongdoing and any departure from procedure, because obviously departure from procedure always means that the people lose money.
Quite.
Don't you think?
Quite, because I think the role that the Auditor General is presently playing is unique. I cannot remember in recent times an Auditor General being so demanding, so outspoken, so effective, and all credit to him. And as you said, it is up to the public to take him on their shoulders and take him around the country. So showing politicians, and more than politicians, the administrators. Actually for us, I think in this country the worst are the administrators. They play to every political party, whether they are in the opposition or in the government. And I think why these inquiries are not going ahead with on charges filed by the FCID is nothing but the weak-kneed attitude of authorities. Whether it is judicial, whether it is public servants, they are all playing so that their careers are safe, whichever government is in power.
And their pensions.
Possibly.
And we can, as we come to the end of this morning's events on this program, I just want to bring to your notice something. The front page of the Island newspaper, top left-hand side, a photograph of Dr. Harsha De Silva, the Deputy Foreign Minister, in the company at some event, at some function, and there we have Arjuna Mahendran as well. So he's very much part of the Colombo circuit, yeah. And then we have, we have him. It's the same thing. He's on state visits. He's helping there. He's unexplainably present at the Treasury Secretariat. He's all over the place. He's virtually omnipresent. And then bear in mind that this is the man that the president of our country, the elected president of our country, who refused to give him a new contract to serve as the governor of the central bank. And there's an investigation going on. And if you look at the clips from the big match, you have all sorts of people with arms around each other and so on. And this is, it just brings home that this is one hell of a cozy club.
I think Mahendran is searching for visibility. Mahendran is searching for company. Mahendran is, and I think the public or the elite of Colombo would like to be in his company to ferret out information. I don't know whether he realizes that it's stupid, because they may be getting information from him and then speaking ill of him behind their back. It's quite possible that could happen, and I think he has always acted to me rather foolishly, and I think he will continue to do so, because he has left his tracks wide open. And I think that is what the commission, the material that is emerging from the commission clearly shows.
I think the commission should be broadcast live.
Very much so.
I think so. And on that note, Govindasri, wonderful having you on Newsline.
Thank you, and I understand you're leaving for a week.
Yes, I should be away helping my daughter celebrate some event.
We are going to miss you.
Thank you, but we hope, but our doors are always open for outspoken critiques, certainly. Thank you very much. And that's it from Newsline. We'll be here, same time, same place, tomorrow morning, helping you stay connected. And Sonali Wadige will be doing this program along with Chaturanga Haparachi in the coming week. And we'll be back the week after. Take care, have a great day, and God bless.